For some of this is going to be pretty hard, but you'll understand why I'm talking about this. So tell the truth faster. Mark Twain once said, "When in doubt, tell the truth." Most of us avoid telling the truth because it's uncomfortable. We're afraid of the consequences, making others feel uncomfortable, hurting their feelings or risking their anger. And yet, when we don't tell the truth and others don't tell us the truth, we can't deal with the matters on the basis of reality. We've all heard the phrase that the truth will set you free, and it will. The truth allows us to be free to deal with the way things are, not what we actually imagine them to be, or hope them to be, or might manipulate them to be with our lies. Telling the truth also frees up our energy. It takes energy to withhold the truth, keep a secret, or keep up the act. So what happens when you actually tell the truth? Well, apart from sometimes what you think might happen, Jack Canfield actually does a 4-day seminar, and he often does the process called secrets. It's a very simple exercise that they spend an hour or two telling people in a group their secrets. Those things we imagine if others knew, they surely wouldn't like us or approve of us. They invite participants to simply stand up and tell the group whatever they want they've been hiding, and then sit down. There's no discussion, there's no feedback, just sharing and listening. It starts out slowly as people test the water with, "I cheated on my 8th grade exam. I stole a penknife from a hardware store when I was 14 years old." But as people begin to realize that nothing is going to happen anymore, people eventually open up and talk about deeper, more painful issues. After there are no more secrets to come out, he asks the group if they feel any less loving or accepting toward one another in the group. In all these years, he's never heard anyone say yes. Then he asks how many people feel relieved to have gotten this off their chest. And everyone says they do. And then he asks, how many of you feel closer to the people in the group? And again, all of the hands go up. People realize that the things they've been hiding aren't so horrible, but in fact are usually shared by at least a few others in the group themselves. They're not alone, but rather are part of a human community. But most astounding is that people report over the next few days, lifelong migraines begin to disappear, spastic scoliosis relax, medication is no longer needed, depression lifts, aliveness returns. People actually look years younger and more vital. It's quite amazing. I mean, one participant actually reported losing 5 pounds of excess weight in the ensuing 2 days after it. He had indeed released more than just he had withheld information. I mean, this example tells us, really, that a lot of energy to hold back our truth, and that energy, when it's released, can be focused on creating a greater success in all areas of our life. We can become less cautious and more spontaneous, more willing to be our natural selves. And when this happens, information that is vital to making things work and to getting things done can be shared and acted upon. So what do you need to share? In every area of our lives, the 3 things that most need to be shared are resentments that have built up, unmet needs, and demands that underline those resentments, and unexpressed appreciations. Underneath all these resentments are unfulfilled needs and desires. When you ever find yourself resenting someone, ask yourself, what is it that I'm wanting from them and that I'm not actually getting? And then make the commitment to at least ask for it. As we've talked about earlier, the worst that you'll get is a no. And you might get a yes, but at least the request will be out there and open in the open. One of the most valuable practices, and yet the hardest to do, is for most people, is telling the truth when it's uncomfortable. Most of us are so worried about hurting other people's feelings that we don't share our true feelings. We end up hurting ourselves instead. It does pay dividends. So shortly after Jack created the Foundation for Self-Esteem to take his work to a non-profit world of education, prison, social services, and other at-risk populations, His director, Larry Price, discovered a request for a proposal that had been issued by the Los Angeles County Office of Education. It turns out that more than 84% of people going through the country's welfare to work orientation program never returned after the first day to start the job training orientation. The country knew it needed an orientation program, but would it give people the hope and motivation to complete their job training and complete a better life for themselves and their families? He knew that he could design a program that met the country's specifications in their request for proposals. But he also knew that it wouldn't include the contact hours and reinforcement to produce the results that the country was hoping for. It was clear that the way they had done it had envisaged a program that wouldn't work. Eager to land the £730,000 contract to provide the foundation with badly needed operating funds, however, they decided to create an extensive proposal and work for months crafting the beautiful presentation. The night before it was due, they even stayed up all finalising and printing, collating numerous copies that were actually submitted to the team. It must have been a good proposal at that time, because they were selected as one of the 3 finalists and were called into the county offices for a live interview and final presentation. Jack can still remember standing in front of the county offices saying, "Larry, I'm not sure I want to win this competition. No matter how good the program we put together, the way we want it structured can't possibly give the results that they actually want. I think we should tell them the truth." How were they to know what they needed to be structured? They're not motivation experts. How could they ask for something they didn't fully understand? So their fear was that the county offices would then feel somehow judged and criticised and award the contract to someone else. It's a huge risk, especially of the dollar figure involved, but they decided to actually tell the truth. The recreation officers, the county officers, were actually surprised by them. After listening to their point of view, they decided to hire them anyway because they were willing to tell the truth after analysing what he'd said. They agreed and felt that they were the only ones who correctly understood the situation they were dealing with at that time. The results were so fantastic that eventually the program they developed, the GOALS program, was adopted by 19 other county welfare programs, plus organisations in 22 other states, like Housing and Urban Development Authority, Head Start, and was pre-release program for San Quentin and several other prisons as well. So far, 810,000 people have graduated from that program. What does that tell you? Tell the truth. Do it as quick as possible, because it'll just eat you up for the rest of your life if you don't. And it's like drinking poison at the end of the day. And I'll see you tomorrow.